Salawam. First and foremost, as usual, before I begin with this camp session, I said camp. Before I begin with this lesson, I want to start it off by giving all the glory and infinite praises to the true and the only living powers. In the names of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Rakahakadas, double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, who I'm told do learn this truth 100% from. Peace and blessings be to you, Wadi, who will serve you, Yahweh Shema Shah, sincerity, hope for mercy, as well as salvation in these latter days. To you I say Shalom, and Yahweh Shema Shah Brakathon. So this gonna be just to press the button and record before I go to the gym. I ain't really have too much on my spirit to get into, but I did a lesson yesterday going into the Ha Davis dude. All right, and I touched a little bit on how America, is spiritual Sodom and Egypt, but through the spirit, I'm gonna probably entitle this lesson, imagine a kingdom wherein dwelleth righteousness, like it. Imagine a kingdom where, because this part-time job that I go to, man, when I tell you it's nothing but fucking sodomites there, the shit's crazy. You got so many sodomites there, man. It's I can at least count on both hands, right, how many sodomite niggas I see there. Alright, shit is fucking ridiculous. Even at this construction job I used to have, I used to work with a brother at the construction job. He can even attest to it. All you would hear is grown ass Issacharite men making gay jokes all fucking day, right? And that's lot. And soon you vex with the filthy conversation of the wicked. It's not even just the conversation alone that we vexed with. It's this Babylonian shit just in general. Just imagine the kingdom when, imagine when we set our kingdom up. Yahweh by Shema Shah set our kingdom up, and everybody keeping the law to a T. Right? And I'm speaking on, behalf of Jake. The so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. Imagine every Jake keeping the law perfect. Right? Brotherly love is being shown, sisterly love is being shown. Ain't the curses is lifted up. You ain't gotta worry about a nigga mean mugging you. You ain't gotta go in the store and get your goddamn mood blown because it's a fucking sodomite in there. Because we know that according to the scriptures, that shit is supposed to be put to rest, bro. You're not supposed to be letting somebody who confused like that just walk around. Because as I said in my last lesson, man, that shit is a cancer, bro. All right, what happens to cancer if you don't kill it? That shit spreads, man. This is why America is the way that it is. All right, which is the result of the wicked being in rulership. As the king is, so will the people be. Right? And as Yahweh Shah is, Yahweh Shah gonna be perfect. We gonna be perfect. Right? So therefore, we gonna command you other nations to be perfect. Ain't gonna be no sodomites in the kingdom, even in other nations. You know what I'm saying? We hear about that shit. We either gonna pull up, or we gonna pull up, and we're gonna get them taskmasters. I'm gonna get a big old strong ass Hamite to go and grab you by your damn neck. You know what I mean? And bring you here, and we're gonna go ahead and get everybody in the city together, and everybody gonna stone your ass. All right, that's righteous judgment. That's what's supposed to happen, because then if the next person see that, you gotta think about it in your mind, man. Who the fuck would want to be stoned to death? You know what I'm saying? If that first rock don't knock you out, you're gonna be in a world of pain. Let me tell you that. All right, imagine getting hit in parts of your body that's bonier than others, that's less fleshly. You know, getting hit in your damn hand, hitting a knuckle with a rock. You know what I'm saying? First thing you're gonna do is, a couple of rocks get, you know what I mean? And you fuck around and drop, and you just getting pelted with rocks and feeling every bit of it until you just bury with them, until you just suffocating with rocks. This is what we gonna do. Right? But just imagine the kingdom where we ain't gotta worry about, you know what I'm saying, fighting demons and shit. You know what I'm saying? You know, waking up and, you know, the scriptures saying in Psalms 149 that the saints shall sing aloud upon their beds, man. I think brothers is waking up happy. You know, that we do have an occupation. You know what I'm saying? Through the spirit, you know. I'm pretty sure a lot of brothers can attest to this, besides, you know, they little, you know, Jake's little habits or whatever. Not habits, but, you know, hobbies. You know, gym, whatever the case may be. Man, imagine the hobbies we gonna have in the kingdom, bro. You know what I'm saying? The 144,000 gonna be living, and all Jake ultimately. You know what I'm saying? But the 2/3 is gonna be it's gonna have to be brought back into the kingdom. You're gonna have the 1/3 multitude, right? But that governing body is gonna be that 144,000. All right. You know, I remember, you know, 144,000 ain't something. You know, even the elite on this side, man, they ain't got shit on what the 144,000 is gonna have. What the elites have on this side, the average an average Israelite is gonna have in the kingdom of heaven. Ain't gonna be no such thing as a struggling Israelite in the kingdom. All right, ain't gonna be no such thing as paying Wi-Fi bills and electric bills and shit. Jay gonna have their own land, their own livestock, fields of crops, have their own slaves. All right, but just imagine what the governing body gonna have. The 144,000. Man, Jay gonna be living. That's something that's worth striving for. I remember me and the beloved brother Zion. I remember we used to chop it up. You know, when we first came into the truth. You know, we used to, you know, we wasn't built up yet necessarily to get out there and teach on the hedges. So we used to just, you know, watch lessons, call each other up, you know, break down chapters to each other, you know, rehearse or you know, what's the word? You know, basically just discuss lessons we had just watched, you know, breakdowns and things of that nature. And I remember, you know, we was talking about it and how bros is going into how the 144,000 is going to be prophets, the apostles, right, so on and so forth. And we like, man, hell no. You know, we gotta, of course, the elect are already chosen from the foundations of the earth, predestined. All right, but the scriptures say that the elect is going to put on therefore put on as the elect, and the elect is going to put on as the elect, and you're going to have the 2/3 that's going to put on as the 2/3. So with that logic, we like, man, hell no, we gotta get out there and start teaching. You know, and I remember we got up there and started teaching and been at it ever since, man. Call like you have by Shema Shah. You know what I mean? But even hearing about the kingdom of heaven, right? We ain't seen it. You know, but we know that if the so-called white man has his blessing, man, what make you think we're not gonna get our blessing? And our kingdom ain't gonna be having sodomites and shit like that. Our kingdom ain't gonna have women talking back to you, cussing you out and shit. Women with a body count of shit, even more than 2. 1, man, all women are gonna be virgins in the kingdom, bro. See, in this nigga kingdom, you gotta deal with bitches who done had a body count of 15, 20, 30. You got bitches with body counts in the hundreds. That shit don't even make any sense. gotta worry about catching a fucking STD. You know what I mean? You can't even enjoy the pleasure of a woman how you want to, because there's so much foul shit going on. All right, you got dudes who are sodomites. They may be what you call bisexual. Man, if you just a straight up fag, you know what I mean? But they be popping women and shit, spreading diseases, and this shit is hell, bro. Imagine the kingdom where we wake up, brothers, we ain't living in no fucking apartment. Fuck, man, you think Jay gonna be living in an apartment in the kingdom? And these old ran down ass houses that Esau be building, that probably 30 other motherfuckers that rented out before us. And Jay gonna be able to wake up in a damn palace made out of the best wood, cedar that smell good, man. Brothers that know about lumber, you know that cedar smell good, that red cedar wood. You know, shit that's durable, gold, silver. Brothers' palace is just shining. You know what I mean? And it can be as big as you want it to be. Look, going outside and looking at the damn mountain straight off your palace with some concubines getting ready to feed you strawberries. Strawberries and grapes. Big ass ancient world grapes. You know, we're talking about it in, I think, in the Book of Kings, where it took 2 strong men to carry a cluster of grapes. You know, a cluster of grapes now, you know, you basically just pick that up. In the kingdom, hey, back then, in the ancient world, when the elements was thriving and booming, because now, you know, since the so-called white man has came into power, everything has become weak. All right, everything has become weak. Everything is genetically modified. This nigga done modified vegetables and fruits, and everything is fucked up under this nigga's rulership. He basically took what the Most High said was good, which is, if it's good, it's perfect, and he tried to add his own little twist to it, fucking shit up. Now you go to the store, you eat a damn orange that ain't even got no seeds in it. You gonna have to eat about 5 of them to get the nutrients that one orange is supposed to give you. You know, the meat. You know what I mean? Brother, we ain't gonna be eating no GMO food in the kingdom. Ain't gonna be no oodles and noodles. You know what I'm saying? Ain't gonna be no motherfucking PB&J sandwiches. No, Jay gonna be eating the best of the best every single day. Fresh fruits, fish that ain't contaminated with mercury and shit. You know what I mean? We gonna be able to send our taskmasters and slaves out there to go catch a fresh tuna, fresh out the water. You gonna eat it fresh out the water. You know what I'm saying? Animals that, you know what I'm saying, you raised, that you know ain't eating no bullshit. You know what I mean? They ain't got no hormones pumped into them to make them grow faster. Ain't gonna be no damn, no jump shots. No vaccine, what am I calling that? To prevent shit from getting, ain't gonna be no fucking diseases just running rampant in the kingdom. That's the shit we gotta worry about now, under the so-called white man rulership. You know what I mean? In the kingdom we gonna be living. Alright, and this is why we seek for a new heavens and a new earth where dwelling righteousness. Because when Yahweh shines on the throne, man, the earth is gonna be flipped right side up. You know, being able to congregate with brothers without even having to worry about going home the next day because you gotta go to the fucking plantation. You know what I'm saying? Brothers is gonna be able to really kick it and enjoy each other's company and shit. Imagine having a chariot. Right now we got these old bullshit ass chariots that you gotta pay monthly rent for, just for the shit to break down on you. Fucking tires you gotta replace all these other new parts. And in the kingdom, bro, we're gonna have chariots. We're gonna have literal horse chariots, and we also gonna have what they call so-called UFOs. Isaiah the 4th chapter. It goes into how we're gonna have a cloud by day. It's like, if I'm butchering it, but you know, a cloud by day above our dwelling places, man. Like security on, like, you know, on some type shit, as Jake say. You know what I'm saying? Imagine having a so-called UFO, you know, made out of different precious stones and metals, gold and opal, just blinging. You know what I'm saying? Hovering above your palace. You know what I mean? And you get fresh out the bed, throwing the finest linen, and it just beam you up. And you got to just go pull up on whatever part of the planet that you want to go pull up on. Man, brothers is going to be able to go to different planets. I see, hey, you see why Esau mad. You see why he going to come down with great wrath, because we going to be able to do shit this man would never be able to do. He been trying to send rockets to bust up the firmament. He been trying to leave this motherfucker for the longest, and he know he can't. He done sent nukes to try to blow the firmament up. Failed attempt. See, the Most High said in the book of Job that he has set boundaries upon this man that he can't pass. He ain't even discovered all the planet Earth. But yet this nigga trying to make it believable that he's gonna go to Mars or some goofy shit. And you got dumbasses that fall for that shit. This nigga can't leave. That fake ass moon landing. You see the clip of that shit, it's ridiculous. But people believe that. I just gotta show you, people believe anything this man put out. Alright? But we ain't gonna have boundaries on us. We gonna be able to go to the deepest parts of the ocean, discover new creatures. It's all type of creatures that the Most High got out here just created, put up, so that the so-called white man don't fuck with, cause you see what he done. He got all type of damn, this mug leaning. Endangered species because of his ass. You got like 9 total species of tigers, and only 3 of them exist, and they all in danger. There ain't gonna be no endangered species in the kingdom of heaven. Everything gonna be at peace. What's that one scripture? It may be in the book of Romans, but it goes into how even the creatures waited for the manifestation of the sons of the Most High. And imagine brothers being at peace with the beasts of the field. You know, brothers having all type of different exotic animals. You know, because you see what type of money Esau got, where he able to, like this, where he able to get his wildlife license. You know what I'm saying? Where he's able to own tigers, lions, and all that type of shit. Man, and the kingdom brothers is gonna have that. You know what I mean? And we ain't gonna have to worry about that motherfucker turning on us either. That's how you know it be judgment. Where them animals be turning on Esau and tearing his ass up. You know, the book of Isaiah, Lord willing, I could do a lesson on this, because this is a beautiful ass topic, bro. You know, a topic that, you know, I know for sure, you know, it inspires me to, you know, continue to push, man. All right, even if I gotta lay my life down for it, because man, the kingdom gonna be so beautiful, bro. You know, I be seeing these different edits that brothers be, you know, putting, you know, as the intros before they, you know, lessons or whatever, and it's showing, you know, how, you know, AI create, you know, Jake walking, and you know, he got all his, you know, Israelite babies with afros behind him, you know, 15 different, you know, wives right there, dressed modest, big old belly pregnant, you know, city made of gold and different precious stones, man. Like the book of Revelations, and also in the book of Tobit, I think it's 13, goes into how, you know, the kingdom was made out of amethyst, chalcedony, lapis lazuli. Man, it's gonna be made out of all them different, you know, Jake be, you know, wearing the stones, man. Right? Jake gonna be blinged out in the kingdom too. You think Jake be iced up now? You know what I'm saying? Wait until the kingdom come, because that's always been in our nature to be, you know, jeweled up. You know what I'm saying? They try to make fun of this shit. We was kings. Yeah, nigga, we was, and we still is. You know, wisdom of Solomon, I believe. I've seen servants upon horses. You niggas don't belong in a power seat. This is why everything fucked up. You got a kingdom full of concrete and tar and crackheads, opioid heads, meth heads and shit. There ain't gonna be one meth head in the kingdom of heaven. You know what I'm saying? A brother gonna be able to just take a stroll up from his palace. And another Israelite brother gonna be like, hey brother, hey, shalom, y'all my shot, brother thug, hey. You know, I got my concubines in there, my servants in there whipping up the finest of the lamb and the jollof rice. You know what I mean? Imagine that, you know what I'm saying? That type of brotherly love. This is how we used to be with each other back in the ancient world. But Jake, that lost that way. You know what I'm saying? You got animosity between the tribes. Southern Kingdom versus Southern Kingdom versus Northern Kingdom versus Northern Kingdom. Ain't gonna be none of, hey, the curses is gonna be completely lifted up, man. Eve ain't gonna be, you got the Southern Kingdom women, she dealing with baldness. Ain't gonna be none of that, man. They gonna have a head full of hair in the kingdom. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna be able to enjoy our children. Ain't gonna be no child support, none of that shit, man. You know, this shit just a straight up fucking nightmare. King David even said it. It's gonna be like we done woke up from a nightmare, because that's exactly how it's gonna be, bro. But you know, we just gotta continue to fight the good fight of faith and shit. We're gonna be there, man. Right? It's worth everything to strive for. Right? During this hell, it's worth everything to lay our life down for too, if needs be, man. Right? Because we know that that's gonna be some brother's lot. And Lord willing, shit, if it is my lot, it is what the fuck it is, man. You know, because I know, you know, I'll be the first one risen up, amongst the first risen up to be put on a chariot, man. All right, so with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and close it out. I'm gonna go in here and grab me a little something, man. Fill me up to go catch this workout, man. I don't run to Zadok's lesson was edifying, and that my sacrifice is acceptable in the eyes of Yahweh Shema Shai, man. So with that being said, Shalom, Yahweh Shema Shai,